We have been talking about the shift from primary season into general election campaign season. And we've talked about how obviously a vote for Genocide Joe is off the table. And it has, been on people's radar. Hey, Trump's been kind of oddly silent on Israel, Gaza. So these Fox News hosts asked him about it when he called in, what he has to say about this. And this should really put you folks in a bind who are thinking for voting for one of these two characters in November.
Policies for a second. As you know, this president of the United States, when it comes to Israel, is getting protested. Now he seems to be turning on Israel. But the non-committed vote that Biden's getting, they're not going to like you either because you are firmly in Israel's camp, correct? Are you on board with the way the IDF is taking the fight in Gaza?
You've got to finish the problem. You had a horrible invasion. It took place. It would have never happened if I was president, by the way. As you know, Iran was broke, Brian. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas, for Hezbollah. They were broke. This would have never happened. And for another reason, they wouldn't have done it to me. I guarantee you that. They did this because they have no respect for Biden. And frankly, they got soft. And what happened here is incredible. That should never have happened. Likewise, Russia would never have attacked Ukraine. Never. You know it. Everybody knows it. And that wouldn't have happened. This is all on Biden.
Do you think the president's in the process of abandoning Israel?
I do believe that, but I don't think he knows where he is, frankly. I think you could ask him a question right now, ask him the same question. I don't think he knows what to say about many subjects, actually. It's really the people that surround him. It's the fascists and the communists that surround him. They're making the calls. They're calling the shots. He's not calling the shots.
Mr. President, what do you feel about Kamala Harris calling for a ceasefire in Gaza? Is that something that you support? Is that something that is totally off the table right now for you?
Look, I hate seeing what's happening. Again, it would have never happened. This attack on Israel and likewise Israel's counterattack, which is what it is, would never have happened if I was president. And you know that, Lawrence. This would have never happened. And it's so horrible to watch it.
All right. So the big money quote there is they've got to finish the job. And then, look. The thing they say about Trump is that the line about him was that he's a good businessman, but he's a bad politician. It's actually the complete opposite. He's a pretty terrible businessman and a pretty skilled politician. He pivots off of it. He doesn't dig in the way a Nikki Haley does, which is it finish them, baby, But he says we have to support Israel. We have to finish the job. And he says what Israel's done has been fantastic because he looks at it the way a developer looks at it. Well, it's great. They took this backwards Middle Eastern land.
Look at all this beachfront property.
Right, they built all these great buildings. Like that's just the lens through which he views it. But
I could see a nice hotel right there, right where those dead people are in the mass grave. It'll be good for the plants.
Exactly. I mean, it's a morbid joke, but that is the way he sees it. That's the way he views these things, right? He sees Israel as a great triumph of commerce.
Well, that's why this whole Trump is a dove. It's fucking ludicrous. It's ludicrous. Yeah, I believe he had some resistance to some deep state agendas, and that's part of why they hated him so much. But the idea that Trump is really fighting their agenda. Okay, so if he was fighting their agenda, why didn't he go his own way with Russia? Because that he wanted to create détente. So why did he wind up having harsher policies than Obama? Because the press was calling him a Putin puppet, and he let that get in his head.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he ultimately, the irony, he is a pretty conflict-averse person at the end of the day. For all of his chest pounding, he, like a lot of schoolyard bullies, will usually back down when he feels like he has to. And I mean, finish the job. I mean, just what an abhorrent thing to say. He's not going to look. The idea that he would cut off funding to Israel, highly unlikely. Unless some personal thing came up between him and Netanyahu. That's the only, and like I said, that's more of a chance than Biden, right? Because with Trump, there's that randomness element to it. But this is his attitude, and this is, and so that's just, obviously, I just thought it was important to show that because that was really the first time he's chimed in on this. He's kind of avoided it, and you saw he really wanted to avoid it there. Like, this is where Trump's, like, his anti-war sensibilities do come through even in these interviews. Now, of course, fuck your sensibilities when there's a genocide going on. That, and $5 will get you a bag of corn chips at the corner store under Bidenomics now. Ha ha, right? But so it doesn't matter. But you can see, he wanted to pivot off of those questions. When they asked him, well, is Biden abandoning Israel? Well, yeah, I think he is, but I don't know where he's at. Like, he didn't even, because I think he understands he can't really make a case that Biden's abandoning Israel, because of course he's not. He's just so insane. Like, this is the Murdoch style. Like, this is the New York Post, Fox News, just hyper partisan Republican propaganda that, like, because Biden exhales, in this exasperated fashion when he finds out about the flower massacre, that's abandoning Israel. Like, he sighs in annoyance that Israel is so over the top. That constitutes abandonment to this media system. And you could see Trump wasn't really comfortable with that narrative. I mean, he placated them because, like I said, at the end of the day, in terms of like the trajectory of the war, it would be pretty much the same under Trump or Biden. I believe that very strongly.
Well, yeah, and he's making the case, they never would have done it. Yeah, they would have done it. What the fuck are you? Come on, man.
Yeah.
Why would they not have done
it? Like Russia,
Ukraine,
that's
president.
a much bigger thing. I agree that probably wouldn't have happened.
I agree.
That involves international politics
that's
and
different.
networks.
That's
a different animal.
Israel and Hamas, that's a completely different dynamic. It's a completely different geopolitical ecosystem. Netanyahu was literally driving suitcases full of cash into, not personally, but through him, to Hamas.
Yeah.
Using a Qatari agent. So they were getting funding. They didn't need you to fund it.
And as we did a big piece on this a few months back, Israel helped Donald Trump get elected in 2016. A lot of the collusion that was supposedly going on between Trump and the Russians was actually going on between Trump and the Israelis.
There is some of the evidence. Yeah, we did a whole piece breaking that down. Who was that? Was that a Schellenberger
That was in
piece?
The Nation. No, that was actually in The Nation.
Oh, right. It was in The Nation. Yeah, a lot of that evidence, a lot of what looked fishy was for real. It really was fishy, but it was Israel.
Right.
It was not Russia, which this article completely broke down.
Yeah, and it's a great article because that does answer a lot of questions. Like, all through Russiagate was transparently absurd, but at the same time, you couldn't really say that these, like, Roger Stone characters weren't acting shadily. Like, there was something shady about what they were doing. It's just the accusations never added up because they had the wrong guy. They had the wrong co-conspirator. It wasn't Russia. It was Israel.
Please clap.